Kim Kardashian may be worth $1.7 billion, but the woman who quietly engineered her empire is worth $400 million. And you've almost never seen her face. She isn't a celebrity, she isn't an influencer, she isn't even on camera. And yet, in a single moment at Paris Fashion Week, Emma Grede made a decision that would redirect the Kardashian business universe. You're about to see the quiet moment where Emma Grede made the decision that would turn Kim Kardashian's brand into a $5 billion machine without ever stepping into the spotlight. Today, you'll learn the hidden identity pattern behind that move, the architect psychology that builds empires from the shadows. From a wealth psychology lens, this moment is a case study because Emma didn't build her fortune by being seen, she built it by understanding a deeper truth. Power doesn't come from attention. Power comes from identity. And by the end of this story, you'll see the same psychological blueprint she used, the one that separates people who watch wealth from people who generate it. Your brain was never built for wealth. It was built for survival. And survival worships visibility. The brain whispers, be seen or be forgotten. That whisper becomes a trap I call the spotlight myth. The belief that attention equals power. Most people believe attention is power, but the real empire builders, they don't chase the light, they engineer the system behind the light. Emma Grede is proof. Her story starts far from Hollywood, East London, where a single ordinary moment at age 12 turned into the psychological blueprint that now powers Skims, Good American, Safely, and maybe the next billion-dollar IPO of 2025. And if you understand her identity, you'll understand your own. Before we dive in, this channel isn't just about stories, it's about blueprints. Each video is a breakdown of the hidden psychology and power structures behind real wealth creation. So if you're someone who studies success like an architect studies blueprints, subscribe now and hit the bell. This is the Wealth Project. Here, we don't study success, we study the identity that creates it. The origin. Strategic naivety. Emma Grede grew up in Plaistow, East London. Single mom, no money, the kind of neighborhood where you hustle early or you don't eat. At 12, she got a paper route, not for candy money, because her family needed it to survive. She enrolls in the London College of Fashion. Everyone thinks she'll get her degree and climb the corporate ladder. But Emma drops out. No degree, no safety net. Why? Because in psychology, there's a phenomenon called identity precedence. The internal identity makes the decision before the person does. Emma didn't see herself as an employee. She saw herself as a builder. At 26, she launches ITB Worldwide, a talent management agency. But here's the genius part. She doesn't manage celebrities because she loves fame. She sees a gap. Brands want influence, influencers want brands. No one was engineering the bridge. Emma becomes the bridge. She calls her advantage naivety. But in wealth psychology, that's not naivety. It's uncorrupted identity, a state where fear hasn't yet had the chance to contaminate potential. For my strategists watching, this is your edge. Move before fear gets a vote. In 2018, she sells ITB, her first exit, her first real proof of concept. But that's not the turning point. The turning point happens in Paris. And I'll be honest, I used to miss the psychological importance of this moment. It seems small from the outside until you understand how identity works. Because what she was about to do next is something most entrepreneurs would never have the nerve to attempt. In 2015, Emma didn't just pitch an idea to the most powerful family in entertainment. She pitched leverage. And the way she did it reveals a psychological pattern most people never see. The billion-dollar pitch. Paris Fashion Week, 2015. The battlefield where brands fight for relevance. Emma spots Kris Jenner, the general of the Kardashian dynasty, a woman who turns attention into capital with frightening precision. Now here's where identity psychology takes center stage. Most people freeze, or nervously compliment her, or stumble over flattery because their nervous system is wired for appeasement, not opportunity. But Emma does something different, something that reveals the archetype she embodies. She approaches Kris as an equal, not a fan, not a follower, a builder. From a behavioral standpoint, this is brilliant because people respond to the identity you project, not the words you use. But here's a twist every strategist will appreciate. She doesn't pitch Kim, she pitches Khloe. Why? Because Emma saw what the fashion industry refused to see. Khloe had narrative momentum. Her personal transformation was becoming cultural currency. She had sympathy, attention, and relevance, but no product that embodied the story unfolding around her. Emma saw what the fashion industry refused to acknowledge. Curvy women weren't being served. Premium denim stopped at size 12. The market had a blind spot the size of a small planet. So Emma makes her move. I'll build the product, you bring the attention, we split the equity. This is the architect identity in motion. She doesn't try to become the influencer. She partners with the influencer. Because in identity-driven wealth, you don't compete with attention. You convert it. Good American launches in 2016. $1 million in sales on day one. People call it luck, but luck has nothing to do with it. If you understand human behavior, this moment becomes inevitable. And here's the quiet truth. Markets always follow identity gaps. Emma saw what others ignored, not because she was smarter, but because her identity wasn't tangled in ego, insecurity, or performative ambition. She wasn't trying to be seen. She was trying to build. Think about that for a second. $1 million in a single day by structuring leverage, not chasing likes. If this is flipping a switch in your brain the way it did for me, tap the like button to let us know it's landing, and drop a comment sharing your biggest takeaway so far. Most people don't miss opportunity because they lack potential. They miss them because their identity is calibrated around survival, not creation. Emma's internal script said, I belong in the room and I build what the room needs. When your identity is aligned like that, your decisions follow effortlessly. But Good American wasn't the empire. It was the rehearsal, a test of Emma's operating system. Because the real story, the one that would rewrite the entire Kardashian business model, was about to begin. And this next chapter reveals the psychological structure behind every modern dynasty. The Skims Industrial Complex. Skims, a brand that turned minimalism into armor and shapewear into cultural language. Valued at $5 billion, rumored IPO in 2025. And behind the curtain sits a power triangle that is a masterclass in identity synergy. Kim Kardashian, the icon. Her identity is the lightning rod. She embodies aspiration, visibility, cultural magnetism. Emma Grede, the strategist, architect of narrative, numbers, and market domination. He sees the map, then redraws it. Emma Grede, the architect, the quiet engine, the operator who turns identity into infrastructure, influence into inventory, vision into fabric. Kim dreams, Jen's maps, Emma builds. This is the triad of wealth, a model so psychologically elegant that most people overlook it entirely. In wealth identity, there are 3 archetypes. Most people try to become all 3. That's why they burn out. That's why they fail. Emma picked her lane, and she mastered it so deeply that the Kardashian empire needed her. Here's a subtle truth most viewers miss. Power flows to the person who builds the system others depend on. Skims isn't a brand. It's a psychological ecosystem, a fusion of identity, aspiration, body image, and cultural narrative. And Emma is the one stabilizing the entire engine room. And I'll be honest, this part always slows me down, because most people never realize that billion-dollar brands aren't built by genius. They're built by identity alignment repeated at scale. But what Emma does next isn't just business, it's culture creation. And the psychological pattern behind it explains why she's wealthier than many celebrities you follow without ever needing the spotlight. The quiet power psychology. People often ask Emma a question loaded with cultural weight. What's it like being the only Black woman in the room? Her answer is disarming in its simplicity. I don't notice. But here's the deeper psychological truth. This isn't denial. This is identity sovereignty, a state where your mission becomes louder than your insecurity. Most people walk into powerful rooms scanning for threat. Who's judging me? Do I belong here? Am I enough? Emma walks in scanning for opportunity. What does the room need? Where is the gap? Where is the leverage? Jay-Z built Rock Nation behind Beyoncé's spotlight. That's the same archetype. Quiet, strategic, infrastructure first. Emma is the Jay-Z of the Kardashian empire, the person who transforms influence into infrastructure. Influence is noise, infrastructure is power. But Emma isn't done, not even close, because once you build one empire, you realize something surprising. If the psychology is right, the system becomes repeatable. The repeatable system. January 2025, a new storm of attention is forming. Kristen Juszczyk, her custom NFL jackets are going viral. Taylor Swift wearing one. Millions watching. Hype everywhere. Most people would say, let's ride the virality. Emma says, let's build the system. She steps in with the same quiet precision, the same internal identity that built Good American and Skims. Together they launch Off-Season, sports apparel engineered around a simple blueprint. Find the attention, build the engine, split the equity, scale the identity. This is not luck. This is not talent. This is psychological inevitability. From a behavioral science angle, this is the exact moment Emma's internal model becomes visible. Influencers chase attention. Architects create infrastructure. Strategists build leverage. Executives scale results. Emma builds the machine that attention runs through. This is why she's now a shark on Shark Tank, a dragon on Dragon's Den, a curator of the next generation of empires. She's not just building brands, she's selecting which identities get to scale. And here's the part most people never realize. Once someone builds one machine, they can build 10, because identity compounds faster than money. But to understand why this matters for your wealth, we need to zoom out. The identity shift. Here's the truth. Most people believe wealth comes from visibility, from being the face, from being known. But Emma Grede proves the opposite. Wealth doesn't come from being seen. Wealth comes from being systemic. Emma represents the architect identity, the person who builds the machine behind the spotlight, the one who turns narrative into structure, attention into infrastructure, identity into equity. And the psychological pattern that made her powerful is something most people never learn: identity-driven leverage. She doesn't compete with attention, she converts it. She doesn't chase opportunity, she engineers the pipeline that opportunity flows through. From a psychology standpoint, this wasn't luck. It was identity. And here's the part that matters for you. The same patterns that built Skims plays out in everyday life on a quieter scale. Most people try to be the icon, visible, validated, admired. But the modern world rewards the architect, the person who builds systems, frameworks, processes, the invisible infrastructure that others depend on. Business isn't the lesson here. Identity is. And the moment you shift from "I must be seen" to "I create what others rely on," your entire wealth trajectory rewires itself. This is the identity pivot that separates people who watch wealth from people who build it. There's one more piece you need to see, the part most people overlook because they're watching the headlines instead of the psychology. Skims is rumored to go public in 2025. If it does, Emma's 8% stake could cross $1 billion. Billion with a B. From a position she built behind the spotlight, not in front of it. While the world chases followers, Emma builds engines. While everyone wants attention, she constructs architecture. While most compete for visibility, she scales infrastructure. This is where psychology becomes wealth. Attention inflates. Infrastructure compounds. And the person who builds the machine always earns more than the person who powers it. Emma didn't win because she had attention. She won because she knew her lane, protected her lane, and built the infrastructure people with attention desperately needed. The architect identity is available to anyone. And if you're watching this, there's a good chance this identity is already waking up in you. Emma is just one of the 7 wealth identities. And if you don't know yours, you might be following the wrong blueprint, chasing strategies meant for someone else's psychology. Your next wealth upgrade is one click away with The Wealth Project. Pick our latest insight or a curated favorite right here on your screen.